at the word core, we can also look at C-O-R in Latin, heart. And so we each have a corridor that we flow love from within, a corridor, a C-O-R, a heart door, a corridor. And so this is what Seeing with Heart invites us to consider. Everything begins with loving the self, yet we're so terribly afraid of I love me. We listen instead to the voice that's so haunting, the one from so far away. Don't be so selfish, you must think of the others, and don't hug yourself or spend time with your soul. For remember, there's nothing to show from these pleasures, nothing productive, nothing to weigh. No, cries your spirit, this is not about selfish. It's about the importance of caring for self and doing exactly what one needs in the moment by feeling with gut, the feeling of true. For being authentic with spirit and soul is the one single choice that will move us to whole. Only then can I love me and can I love you, as they're actually but one and the same.
Wow, that's a very, very wonderful, powerful statement, poetry, insight. I mean, that really, because we all do this at some point in our life, either past, present, or continued. The desire to really stop and drop within oftentimes is the last thing we think about. And I know even myself, I could spend hours on my balcony in meditation or prayer or just blissful mindfulness and then chastise myself for, the dirty dishes that are down in the sink that I didn't put in the dishwasher. So there's a priority basis here that I also go through in recognizing the I am, the self-love, the, stop and smell the roses piece. And I love how you interpreted, downloaded that love. That was just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poetry.
So that's what we were speaking to, is that the step back that we are so quick to judge ourselves, that in a sense is an opportunity to action that acceptance of self, which then will flow ripples out from within the way we be to the acceptance of others. And so we can paint a picture, and you asked for something tangible that's actionable. And so Seeing with Heart paints a picture, and maybe we can briefly go through this.
Okay.
Let's all consider the Hoover Dam. It's something that we can all relate to. It's a very, very enormous structure, a very, very thick wall. And for all intents and purposes, behind the wall of the Hoover Dam, is there a small amount of fluid, or is there essentially an infinite amount of fluid?
Mm-hmm.
So, right. So, let's consider a theoretical device that will pierce a hole, a pinhole, through the wall. And, of course, what occurs at the Hoover Dam is we generate electricity, we generate light. Well, that's interesting because we are light beings. And so when we pierce the wall with this pinhole, would you imagine that we would experience an enormous amount of power, or probably most likely a trickle of power that's ever so slightly behind the wall of the Hoover Dam? So this device, let's say this theoretical device, we can open the diameter and we can make the hole larger. So a larger amount of fluid flows through, and gradually we're experiencing a greater amount of energy coming through the wall. But I can imagine that we can all concur that there's at some point, and it doesn't require us opening the diameter of this tool to 80% or 90% of the wall. There comes a point where the wall actually will just blow open. because of the amount of power that's in that water behind the wall.
Right.
What about the walls of each of our Hoover dams? What about our hearts? What about what's happening ever so slightly behind our radiant, beautiful hearts? Is there a small amount of love, or is there essentially an infinite amount of love? So what we can do is we can take a look at our aperture, if you will, the actual opening, and we can, as we move through our days, see what we're doing with that aperture. Are we having it very, very pinched down? Is it a pinhole, or is it spacious? So it's something we can actually mechanically do.
And is it, in doing it, there's different sensations and feelings that may crop up, and those are also normal, but it also leads us down different pathways. Don't you find it takes us into our passions? It takes us into our caverns of loves and what really feeds our soul, because it's that, you know, going back to the whole energy of this hour show today, it's all about this collective love consciousness that literally elevates everything. And you're coming from all about the heart and the love, which is everything, and being able to have this flow of abundance through seeing everything through the heart, viewing everything through the heart, and how that looks. Because it does change your lens, right?
Exactly. So when we shift from the place of seeing with head into the place of seeing with heart, and we invite ourselves to open the aperture, we invite ourselves to be love, because another writing from Seeing with Heart, "Tell me everything," uttered the small child. "All right, there is only love. That is everything," whispered the breeze. And so depending on what we do with our aperture determines the flavor of love that we experience. And so when we pinch down that aperture, like you were talking about, it actually becomes a visceral sensation. We can actually feel the tightness, we can feel the dis-ease, and actually manifest disease. And when we hold that space open, we feel the spaciousness. And the invitation is to, and release. And the invitation is to see that we actually flow potent ripples out from that experience, from the pinhole aperture or the more open or even essentially almost fully open aperture. We flow ripples out from that, from how we be with that. So there's 9 words that Seeing with Heart invites us to reflect upon. I be love, I be me, I be we. So to the extent that I be love, to the extent that I flow that infinity of love that resides ever so slightly behind my radiant, beautiful heart, is to the extent that I be me, is to the extent that I be acceptance of self. And to the extent that I be me, to the extent that I be that being that is able to action self-care and to not be judgment of self, is to the extent that I be we, to the extent that I be with an other in either an individual relationship with another or in collective, in community, in our global community. And there's potent ripples that flow out from within that experience. And it's so relevant because when we look across our beautiful earth and we see so much dis-ease, it can become paralyzing. It can become daunting. It can feel like tragedy and catastrophe. And so we are unable to move and to navigate in any way, in any meaningful way. So if we bring it back to I be love, it's very, very simple. I be love. So to the extent that I be love, I be me. And from within that possibility, I be we. I flow potent ripples from within, individually, collectively, in my small group, my small community group, and then globally, in the large global community. And that's how we see shift, and that's what we were speaking to with the picture of the Hoover Dam. It didn't require opening up the diameter of that device 80 or 90% for the infinity of love, the infinity of fluid to flow out from behind the wall of the Hoover Dam. We only needed to go to whatever it is, 35, 37, 38. It's a small percentage, and all of a sudden it blows open. So when each one of us begin to be in this way, then all of a sudden we see a massive shift in global consciousness.
Amen. That's right. And that's where your book is allowing people to open up. I really love that this has been written by you, because you can resonate to the manly men out there that may be a little bit afraid to open up their heart, or afraid that when they do open up their heart, what are they going to feel, and can they control those feelings, and are those feelings going to be overwhelming, and oh dear God, I won't ever be in control again. So you give a little insight here, and a lot of compassion and awareness to allowing people to say, okay, this is how I feel, and let's look at that one feeling, or let's at least evolve ourselves a little bit in accepting that one feeling and move from there. So I really applaud you on bringing this awareness full circle around. I mean, you're tapping into the essence of soul and the expansion of love, and also the intuitiveness and emotional connection with spirit and soul and source that is innate within all of us. So your beautiful, inspiring poetry and your words of wisdom, In Me Finally, Navigating Life with an Open Heart by Dr. Mitch Tischler. I just love it, Mitch, and I think that this is going to be a great, great book for, I really see women migrating to it, but I really want men to migrate to it, because I really see that it gives men permission to kind of let down their guard and open up their heart just a little bit more. And that's a very big demographic.
Well, one of the punchlines is that when we let all of that control and all of that expectation and all of that what appears to be power go, we actually step into our authentic power. We actually flow our authentic power. And from that place, it's an infinite potential, rather than struggling with what we appear to be our power. And what I'll say is that this, although it looks like a book, it's really not. It's actually the Seeing with Heart journey. So it's an experience I've been sharing with people one-to-one and in groups for more than 15 years now. And what's beautiful is it's now available as a book. So as you embrace this book, it actually is your Seeing with Heart journey. It's a conversation with you and Seeing with Heart.
And it is. It's one of those things that really, as no matter what level of your depth or self-awareness or self-actualization that you have, you go in on that level in reading the book and evolve even more. So that's what I loved about the book. It is a journey. It's like experiencing a workshop, but you're experiencing it through feeling. And we can find this book on Amazon.com. And Mitch, is there anywhere you'd like to guide our audience in connecting, buying the book, connecting with you in work? Where would you like them to find you?
Okay, thanks, Lisa. So as you mentioned, the book is available on Amazon in printed format and as Kindle. You also can, if you feel to, find autographed copies from mefinally.com. So if you go to our website, mefinally.com,